to a work session of the Oregon City Planning Commission. We're going to prepare for the November 21st City Commission yearly update and the Planning Commission policy advice to the City Commission. So let's take number 3.
Which sheet are you looking at?
This is the memo that we submitted to, that we're going to submit to the commission.
Oh, the memo, not this.
Yes, right.
Yeah, no, that's the list.
All right, so a couple of questions on this memo.
And I'm gonna give this to you because this is just me. This is Mrs. Gillette's 12th grade English class that says, please do not begin the sentence with a prepositional phrase. So,
All right, so we have a couple, okay. So before you had a memo, it was attached to both this work session as well as the last item. I think before we start, we can just talk about what it is generally, and then maybe we could talk about how you expect us to move it forward, meaning how connected is it with the Equitable Housing Project. This is a memo, a lot of concerns came up over the past year, but actually a lot came up with equitable housing as to ways in which.
actually, I just saw something. No, keep talking.
Yeah, ways in which we could better consider policies for the city. And so in this memo, the Planning Commission is suggesting some policy recommendations to the City Commission, and then it's up to the City Commission to review those policy recommendations and move forward those that they believe should be done so. This memo, is the second version, and there's just a couple minor edits, but it didn't look like anything content-wise. We wanted to move that forward. I wanted to make sure that this included all policy recommendations that you would ever want. My concern, the problem I'm trying to solve, is that we are getting ready to think about doing a new budget and new city commission goals. We do them on the biennium basis. They end at the end of June 2019, and then they'll go for another 2 years. So we start to do this now. The city commission will have a retreat February 1st or 2nd. And then this would go to the city commission in that retreat packet. Or if you wanted to connect it with equitable housing, we can also attach it to the equitable housing thing too. But the goal is to get this into the hands of the city commission in writing so they have time to consider it and then make budget allocation, goal allocations accordingly. So we want to make sure that this accurately reflects all of your policy advisement. If there's more stuff you want to add, please do. We kind of pulled this out separate because I want you to think broader than equitable housing if there's other stuff that should also be added. But now that you've had time to simmer on this as well.
I think this needs to go as part of the package because for one very specific thing, and that's the rezoning of the manufactured zone. I don't think we want to let that just sit on the shelf until February and then we begin to act. And it's this time next year before something happens when, and then there's other comments about, the front page, which is other equitable housing type thing. So I think getting this whole memo to them and then saying, and most of this we will visit at your work session, but there are some items that are higher priority.
I don't disagree, but this letter keeps getting longer. And I'm wondering, frankly, if might we have cause for 2 letters, one specific and designed for equitable housing and one that is other stuff, and whether 2 letters might be more effective.
Yeah.
Vern,
You're saying
any thoughts?
put it into 2 parts,
He's
basically?
saying 2
I'm
memorandums.
saying separate the affordable housing,
Put all that together, yep.
Yeah.
And then the
the other stuff that's recommendations for stuff we want them to think about for the budgeting.
Consider yep, I agree.
Tom? Following?
I'm just concerned because there's items on page 3 that I want to be specific that they're looked at.
Right, but it doesn't have to, what he's saying is it
I know.
doesn't have to do with equitable housing.
I know, but the whole problem I have with this whole process is this isn't about equitable housing more than it's just about every
Well,
code.
next time it won't get all lumped together. How about that?
Well, I won't be here next time.
Well, you will be, but I won't be, but I can testify as a member of the public.
Offhand, I don't have a problem with that. I think page 1 and the manufactured home is our equitable housing recommendations. And
Yeah,
then-
I think they delineated it well, I think.
Yeah.
We should do that with that whole packet, have equitable housing and everything else as a separate packet.
Well, we talked about that. We had Mike Mitchell come and testify about that.
I think
He thought
it's
it
too
should be
much.
separated.
I have no problem with it if that's the way you guys are gonna go. It's just I have other concerns.
Yeah. Then the other thing about the formatting is you have the short-term vacation rentals. As I know that was something that kind of got added at the end, but it's after what it says at the top, which is the following additional issues about tree removal, and then tree removal,
And then vacation housing.
So we just think it needs to move above that sentence.
Probably,
Because
yeah.
Gotcha.
You're proposing move short-term rentals above.
Yeah.
above that
Yeah,
sentence,
that's,
so just above
it's a
that sentence.
completely different topic.
Put it in page 2.
So the one on the very back about the updating with Clackamas County has been moved up to under affordable
No,
housing.
no, the one on page 3, this short-term rentals,
I'm looking at page
asking about-
2.
Yeah.
I see the one at the bottom on page 4, it got moved to page 2.
yes.
The updating the urban growth management agreement with Clackamas
Yeah.
County, that got moved in with urban,
Do you have a page 3?
yeah, right here.
Yeah, we have 4
This
pages.
is what. the-
Yeah, and I was asking, I thought we were done with that. I was asking if this had been moved here.
Yeah.
Seems to me the comprehensive plan and the UGB agreement need to be done concurrently because can't really have one without the other.
Yeah.
And that,
So I'd say you'd have like 3 areas of concern in addition to affordable housing, comprehensive plan UGB, short-term vacation rentals, and tree removal policies. And then those 2 as the second memo.
I'd make the other one second because tree removal in annexed areas has to do with the urban growth boundary agreement and also has to do with the comp plan. To me,
Okay.
they're related topics
Okay,
within the same broad category.
okay, so you'd have comp plan, urban growth boundary, regulations prohibiting tree removal as one item.
I'd have
Short-term vacation rentals, item 3, and then item 4, or item 2, then item 3 would be the tree fee. Blah.
I'd have number 1 is updating the UGB agreement. Number 2, updating the comprehensive plan. Number 3 would be, the tree thing goes with the UGB agreement because we're suggesting that something be put in there.
When you say the tree thing, you mean the annexation
Tree
tree?
thing, yes. And that's in the UGB agreement, and then trees after that, and then the vacation rental thing.
Okay,
Where are we on the findings of the court regarding annexations? Has that been finalized yet?
The date hasn't been set at Supreme Court, because that's where it's going.
The Luba appeal?
no, whether or not annexation, the state, about the
Charter versus,
Charter versus
There is a Luba
everybody
appeal
else.
right now.
So just
pending
real
about
quick,
that.
you'd have UGB and then a sub 1 of that, or an A, being tree removal for annexation.
Right.
Then comprehensive plan,
Complex
tree mitigation.
Right.
And then short-term
Short-term
rental.
rental, exactly.
Okay,
Does that give you the input you need, Laura?
That does.
well, I think that what Tom brought up on this tree thing, I think that is so important. I mean, that's just monumental.
yeah.
We've never done it in this county. We've danced around that thing in all our cities. I know when I was with Lake Oswego, my God, I'm telling you, you could start World War III just at the drop of a hat, and it's still going on.
In Lake Oswego,
Now,
more so.
the public interest in this whole thing has to do, in my judgment, with the environment and landslides and things of that. It's just not aesthetics.
Right.
It's just not aesthetic, and it's just not economics. It has to do with the taking issue. It has to do with property rights, and it has to do with the public interest. And that is so vital. And I think it's going to go to court. I think we're going to get challenged on it. It's a great idea, but I think we're going to get challenged on it. It's so important that I think that these are one of the things that we have to address in our efforts to update our comp plan. Now, on the comp plan, I don't want to just see a short statement about a zone. I want to see a comprehensive statement and policy purpose of what this community wants to achieve and become in the next 25 years. An actual policy statement, a narrative throughout the entire plan, consisting of traffic studies, consisting of capital improvements, consisting of how this city works. You know, we're getting to the point now where our comprehensive plans have to be pretty sophisticated to fend off all of these legal challenges that we have. When I was first starting out, we didn't have these legal challenges, you know?
People hadn't figured out how to sue yet.
That's right. And then they found out there was big money in it. They found out there was big money in it. Now, I'm of a persuasion that I do not think that developers, and I live in a house, and guess what? A developer built. We all do. And we're naive to think that developers don't have a role to play in the future of our cities. They do. But so does the public. And the public had better wake up and say, we have got a role to play, and it has to do with how we shape our cities. And how we shape our cities around health, safety, and welfare of the public has to do with how much we're willing to put into the game. How much open space are we willing to purchase so that we have parks? Because you know that developers aren't going to dedicate 25 or 30 or 100 acres for open space.
Not
City
unless
of
there's-
Portland is very fortunate
Not
to
unless
have.
there's money in it.
No, but the city, we just can't afford to sit back and expect this stuff to come to us. We got to go after it. We got to be a player in this game. And our comprehensive plan has to reflect that. It really does. Because if we don't, we just keep falling further and further and further behind in our public services. What do we expect our developers as partners to contribute to the future of this community? And it's got to say that in our comp plan, and we haven't said that. So,
Best political speech all season.
what's that?
Best political speech all season. You should have been out there giving speeches.
Oh, well, I mean, that's what your comprehensive plan, it's a policy statement.
And that's what I've been saying all along, Bob.
It's a policy statement.
Yeah.
So what
And
you're
I know where
saying-
you're coming
yeah,
from,
yeah.
Tom, and I think you're right. The question is how to pull it off.
Because nobody disagreed with me from all that area when we came before all the different
No,
areas.
and it's a very emotional thing, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
But also, the property owner has a right. to get
Exactly,
close
we
down.
understand that
You
too.
can't, what if it was your land? You see?
I donated to the city.
Well, yeah. But you got to put a face on these things. You know, we
Right.
just can't be sitting up here as an authority. You see, we got to put a face on it because you got 35,000 faces out there that we serve. Okay? And you're going to have 50, 60, 70,000 faces that aren't even here yet, that are going to move in. So we got to, this comp plan is a big thing.
Yeah, just
And then
for-
then you've got all these metro, the county, the state, the feds, all these people that have got a role in this, okay?
Just for interest's sake, I mean, you said exactly, it's private owner, they own that property, they have the right to do with it. The question that kept coming up was why wait until the very end when we're right in the middle of the process of deciding annexation to do all that? Why not having done it all the time you owned it until all of a sudden it's been before you guys and gal, and then all of a
You're
sudden.
saying that the timing is a little suspect.
Yes,
They're doing exactly what I'd have done if I owned the property. I mean, let's face it.
I don't think you would have done that.
Oh,
Bob.
I would have too.
No, I don't think so. I think what I'd simplifying what you're saying is that it's not all about giving or taking, it's a little bit of both. So if you're going to build in Oregon City, there's a little something you have to give back to the community, and it's not just building the houses in the street and all that, sure that you can say that, but again, we've had so many examples of land that has been cut and recut, and then guess what? It falls off. And then who pays for that? The person that developed the property doesn't pay for it, it's the community that pays for it. We pay for it in our time with our public works staff, emergency services. Everybody had to be out at Newell Creek because look what happened.
That's right.
And, I bet you if we had asked for public information about how much that cost us as a community, it's more than we probably wanted to pay.
The single greatest land use in the state of Oregon, in any city or any county, is its highways. Is its highways. You add up all that right away, I mean, it just, it's amazing.
Boggles the mind.
And people lose their lives on highways. They lose their children on highways. So we gotta have safe streets, see? So we gotta think this thing out.
Slow streets.
I agree with Bob. I could see Mahoney Park right now.
We could just
As
have
soon as
Bob
he writes that check.
Bob dedicates his property as Mahoney Park.
And I won't charge you a thing, Tom. You can,
It's one place we don't need to park.
just ignore that toll gates.
I think tolls.
Okay,
All right, what else you got, Laura?
All right. So
We have the second part.
I have clear direction on the letter. Thank you very much. We'll have two separate letters. We'll separate them to the parts that you identified. The equitable housing will go with equitable housing code amendments whenever those go forward. And the other one will go before the city commission for their retreat in February. The other thing I have for you, well, two, I guess we also have updates. The other thing is, sorry, my computer just shut off. Oh,
I know
it's
mine
a
does.
summary of what is going before the city commission. So before everybody is this packet, and it's a summary of what you did in 2018. And I want to start by expressing how much is in this packet. I mean, these look like little one sentence code updates, but we did two code updates. One, you recall, with the lot averaging, and then this package. That's a huge thing. You guys had 13 meetings on that, and there was a lot of work. But not only that, but this year was funny because we actually didn't have a whole lot of actual land use applications. What you had was an immense amount of legislative applications. This is the most that I can recall any planning commission reviewing in 1 year at all. You had the McLaughlin and Kenema Trail, alternate mobility targets. I mean, we are talking about things that are not small potatoes. They are very controversial. They are hard to review. They're all out of the ordinary. We had the two rounds of code amendments. One was effective at the end in June, and then this round earlier tonight. We had a couple of work sessions with Scott Burns, one with our Transportation Advisory Committee, doing some transportation analysis, decoding. You guys did a lot of work, not to mention large annexations and other controversials of their own. A couple statistics here. You had a lot of meetings. You had 16 hearings and 14 work sessions. There's got to be a record somewhere in there, huh?
what was the canceled meeting? Why was that on here? I mean,
It was just one canceled meeting. I think it was around May-ish or something like that.
why was it canceled?
There's nothing on the agenda.
So is that worth mentioning?
Well, no, it's just your statistics.
It was the,
Normally, we have many canceled meetings. To only
No,
have
it
one
was-
canceled meeting
it was canceled because it was Memorial Day,
Oh,
You're having fun.
that makes
May
sense.
28th, yeah.
Only because I kept thinking cancel, but would that make people think, well, they canceled because they didn't show up?
You-
Or they didn't have a quorum?
I've not done these statistics before, but I wanted to start to keep track of it.
Maybe you
But-
could reword instead of canceled. We could use a different word. Maybe that's what it is.
Okay, I'll look at it.
Time is really cool.
I mean it. I meant to say it's amazing that you met so many times because I think when you put this between all the other years, you met a lot and you are volunteers and you dealt with very large controversial stuff and you were here every second and fourth Monday and some other times as well. I mean, this was meant to say like, congratulations. This is pretty impressive. It makes me exhausted to read this list because they're just,
We lived through it.
it's just, the items are so big and so complicated this year. Hopefully, we get a little bit of a break, but,
We're not here for breaks. We're here for work.
right,
I think you
That
just
is
gotta,
true.
you just gotta accept the fact that we're all very exceptional people.
I think we've just created the new Bob Mahoney fan club. I would just suggest that where you have a date and there's nothing after it, that you just move the date to the next page so it lines up with it. It happens when you're making charts.
yeah, this is just more for internal. Unless you want me to post this on our website, I can.
Oh, this isn't being presented to the city commission
Scare any,
to show that we work harder
Yes, we
than they
do
do?
need to scare
can.
people. We do need to scare people.
We're not gonna have any candidates out here.
Some lady asked me the other day, she says, how often do you meet? I said, just plan on blocking out every second and fourth Monday.
Forever.
I said, that's, if you sign up for it, I said, don't think of this, I said, please think of this as that's your job, because you can't go and miss all these meetings. She says, oh, we travel in our RV 3 months out of the year. I said, well, this is not the group for you then.
Yeah, I mean, I've been here 15 and a half years. I cannot think of one time when we had one canceled meeting. I mean, and canceled for a good reason, but like the number of meetings is just enormous.
I would just say no agenda items or something like that.
No, it was a holiday.
Holiday, yeah.
Yeah,
One
holiday.
holiday meeting.
There you go. Holiday sounds better than canceled.
We met one night.
How do you spell holiday?
Okay, so the purpose of this though is to just sort of reflect on things this year. It's not obviously a comprehensive list because the year's not over, but we do need to have our yearly update to the city commission. And I apologize, it's rescheduled to December 5th. Again, I'm not sure if November 21st is happening or not at the city commission
That is the
level.
night before Thanksgiving. We were just checking the calendar.
Oh, yes,
I
it
don't
is the
care.
night before Thanksgiving. The question is, did we have, could the agenda item slide to another meeting
Some of
or
them
not?
might be time sensitive too, yeah.
Yeah, so, and this, I mean, certainly could. So the update was tentatively scheduled for December 5th. And so I wanted you guys to all get on the same page about what you want to say, who's going
On
to
the
speak.
calendar.
And have.
Everybody show up.
Reflect back on really all the good work that you guys did this year.
Well, and, you know, we spent, just call it on average, 3 hours each meeting, but your staff spent 30 hours each meeting as a minimum.
Oh, yeah, that seems low.
Oh,
And so-
that's totally low.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying, you know,
The rest is
if you
coffee
pick
breaks.
one person, you know, you're doing 10 to 20 hours for every hour we're dealing with. And, you know, and so the fact that you made it through all of this, you know, you and your staff is phenomenal too. I mean, I'm surprised you don't have everybody jumping out of windows and running around
They get
pulling
paid
their
the
hair
big
out.
You're on the
bucks.
first floor, so you're okay.
But when you're that insane, all you're thinking about is, I'm jumping out this window.
Yes, I'm jumping out the window.
It's been a challenging year for planning staff, but they've done an amazing job pulling things together. And not to mention the stuff not related to planning commission, that workload has been pretty tremendous and a lot of lawsuits and things like that. has been-
Well, and just
or
all the
court-
other things that you have already working on that haven't got to us yet.
thank you.
Yeah, so anyway, I wanted to just give that to you and give you a space to chat about what your update to the city commission would be, or not. It's up to you.
All right.
Tell them that they need to put in the same amount of time we do.
Yeah, really. I do have a question though, beyond some of this, have you figured out yet who is really stepping off the planning commission at what time? Because I remember interviewing Denise with Dan and I've been on here, it'll be 6 years this December, but
Yeah, we double checked everything.
you're out checking it because
Yep. So what happened was, so
I had it on the corner.
stepping back, at the end of this year, 4 planning commissioners will be termed out. That seems like a large amount for a group of 7. And so we went back and checked all of the statistics and when people entered the planning commission. So what happened was, is it was originally set up to have 2 people at every cycle. Well, we had the end of 2 people's terms at the same time that we had 2 people resign. So we had 4, and everyone got hired within the same week. Everyone got placed on the planning commission within the same week, and they all got placed
So instead
for,
of-
Instead of staggering, they started our terms all at the same time, which shouldn't have happened.
What-
We should still have been staggered.
you,
I remember
so
Bob
it's
interviewed me
okay
the
that they all
first time.
start at the same time, but what we should have done is had the 2 people finish out the other 2's terms, but instead we appointed 4 people to 4 full terms.
Right.
And so this time I would like, or I would,
Yeah, I said
am
we need to go
recommending
back to the
to the
staggered,
mayor
because this is
to
not
appoint
good.
2 people for half terms and 2 people to full terms. So we're going back to that staggered
Yeah,
schedule.
that makes sense.
Yeah, because it should be 2, 2, 2, 1.
So Bob,
That's the way it's
were you
always
filling
been.
in somebody's when you first, because 6
Bob
years
was-
ago,
Bob was, when I first started, I was filling somebody's
because he
unexpired
interviewed
term.
me 6 years
Yeah,
ago.
Groner, young fellow by the name of Groner.
Chris.
I remember
left to
Chris.
Go to Clackamas board.
I have
there
the
too?
list if you guys would like
Yeah.
to see who, we didn't say who filled what term, but it's just the,
Well,
who is
yeah,
expiring, who.
That's what I asked Katie. I said, I know that I filled somebody's unexpired term, and then I did a full term.
We
Yeah, I
didn't do
think
it
she
that
did,
way. We
and
just
she-
said 4 on, here's 4 full
I know,
terms.
but I asked her to go back to the original to find that.
But I was trying to figure, Denise, when I last interviewed you with Dan, because I remember
I'd
sitting in the
have to
room
go
back
back into my
here.
calendar, because I know I have it on my calendar.
Because I sat in that room when he interviewed you
And
just.
Bob was there.
Yeah.
He was the one
Yeah,
throwing the
so
little
Laura, I think it might,
spitballs.
Yeah,
in the future, be good to have planning commissioner position 1, position 2, and then just have position 1 is, this 4-year period, and position 2 is this 4, so that it's about the position and the years that they're in place, like we do with the city commission.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I'll
Because-
work with Katie to look at that.
Yeah, because with the city commission, it's, that whole 8 years thing isn't just 8 years, it's, the 2 terms. And if it only means you get 6, then you gotta, step back and come back in 2 years.
Well, if nothing else, it's a chance to fix it.
Yeah, we just aired 8 years ago. We liked y'all, so we wanted y'all for full terms.
So I would humbly request that if people could make the time that when we present this, that is, again, we can advertise that we're here, but I think as many of us can be here as possible is sort of a show of solidarity. And I know that when I came and did it last year, there were 4 of us that were here.
This is the 5th?
Tentatively.
Yeah, I think I'm out of town.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that like
And it's a 5-minute update. It's a quick thing.
Yeah, and I'd like more than 5 minutes. 5 minutes is not enough to present this.
what date is that again?
It's a Wednesday.
Wednesday.
December 5th.
And I
Wear your
might
Kris Kringle
show up
crown.
in uniform just because I get somebody to cover me.
I'll show up in my ghost white sheets from Halloween.
No, don't show up in white sheets. That means something else.
Oh, I didn't mean it the way it sounded.
I know you did.
Okay, so that's the date of the update. And it sounds like Chair McGriff is going to give that update. And everybody else is welcome to attend. And
I'm happy to share it. We can all divide it up and give parts of it. I have no qualms about that.
however you guys as a board want to provide your update.
I want to sit next to Bob Mahoney, though.
Well, the simple solution is we'll let her give the updates and then we'll just correct her when she's wrong.
We'll just put 7 chairs right there in the front so they see your little smiling
Almost like the
faces.
Supreme Court.
And we'll all sit there. I'll have a little riser made for us if you like.
Okay, good.
Who's Kevin?
And then I can attach this summary if you like to
I really would like more than
the
5 minutes.
agenda.
I think, in case the other commissioners want to say something, I think 5 minutes is a little,
How many minutes? So I don't set it, but I
I know you
can
don't.
set
We can
forward a
request.
request. How much are you requesting for?
I think we should at least have 7 minutes.
Oh, 7.
Let's go 10,
10.
and then you can give all the minutes back.
For as much time as we put in, and there's 7 of us and 5 of them, I
Now, wait a
demand
minute,
20.
wait a minute. Each one of us would get 3 minutes. So
That's
there's
right.
21 minutes. You know, we could dominate the
There you
whole
go.
meeting. I
That'd
mean,
be
we
the
could
best
just.
meeting they've ever had.
We meet longer than they do.
Well, you-
I know, I don't know what else is on the
Put you
agenda,
on
particularly if
speakerphone.
November
We'll bring
21st gets
a
pushed.
replica of Zach.
Zach is out of the money.
Is that the Christmas exchange meeting where we all exchange gifts with the city commission?
Is there an exchange? Okay, thank you, that was clear direction. I will attach this to the update, and I will change canceled meeting to
Holiday.
something else.
To say,
Yeah,
or canceled due to holiday.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then, other than that, all I have are some updates for you. You get a day off, another canceled for holiday meeting.
So Paul is at the APA conference.
The APA conference was Thursday and Friday. Paul is unable to make it to this meeting tonight. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, I thought he said he was
We
at
get a holiday
the
off.
APA.
I did not see him at the
Must
APA
be
conference,
Christmas.
but he may have been. It was a large conference.
We're gonna get Christmas off?
You
always
wish,
get-
we're
we
gonna
always
get
get
November 12th off, which
It's
is our
never a
next
Monday.
meeting, which
Oh,
is
Veterans Day?
Veterans Day, yeah. Or the day, yeah. And so, City Hall is closed, and so we will not be having our
We'll just have it
meeting.
in the parking lot.
Wait a minute, what day are we getting off?
November 12th,
I would think not.
so it's the day,
It's a
Because
holiday.
November
After-
11th is a Sunday, Bob,
Yeah.
so that would fall on the 12th.
and
It
then
says it says Veterans Day, I think, or something.
Yeah.
we do have a meeting scheduled for November 26th. You all canceled, or continued annexation till that time.
be
So
there.
we will anticipate meeting that meet. I polled the commission. Thank you for everyone who replied. We have at least 4 people, so we should be able to hold that meeting. As of now, there's nothing else
And
tentatively.
the second holiday will be Christmas Eve, the 24th of December. That's a Monday.
Yeah,
That's
the
not a
holidays don't
holiday.
line up perfectly well with planning
I
commission
could meet on the
sometimes.
24th, that's not a problem.
Yeah, I have
So-
nothing to do.
Your holiday's over.
Then the last thing is,
Wednesday.
last year or the year before, I can't remember when, we started doing some one-on-ones with the planning commissioners, would meet with me once a year just to kind of check in and see how things are going, what we're doing well, where we have opportunities for improvement from the staff, so we can make sure that we're serving you as well as we can. And so if you haven't scheduled one of those one-on-one yet, please feel free to send me a email or give me a call.
It always reminds me of going to the principal's office at Sister Mary St. Harold. That's why I don't like going to those, because I feel like I'm coming into a meeting.
I think you mean that perhaps because we're literally in a school building, not because you are going to get in
I
trouble
used to go
or
to the
anything
principal's
like
office
that.
so often.
In that
No,
building?
no. We,
In that building?
Sister Mary St. Harold, no, the Catholic Church.
Oh,
no,
okay.
we are very approachable and we look forward to serving all our citizens and our planning commission. Nobody's in trouble. We just want to get a good feedback session.
Well, I wouldn't say nobody.
Oh,
I'm not looking at you.
aside from Bob, nobody's in trouble.
Okay, that's what I was,
that what you're saying?
I didn't want to say it.
No,
out
I'm just
loud.
kidding. Everyone's been really great, and I really do appreciate the time you have put into reading massive
He just looks
agendas and
innocent.
reports this year.
He's very, very mischievous, is what I've
I
heard.
think the next
He's a
commission,
devil dog.
the city needs to provide reading glasses.
Yeah.
Extra strong reading glasses
Yep.
or bigger
I
font.
do want to say for the official record or unofficial record that I know that it was a pain, but having this was really very helpful. I could not have even imagined trying to read that online.
Yeah.
And I didn't expect people to deliver it because I told DeLeon, I said, I'm coming up this way. I said, if you have it, I'll pick it up on, if I told you the amount of time that I spend on Warner Parrott Road, it would be
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that the city's policy of being as paperless as possible is great, but there are times when that is not appropriate, and this was definitely one of those. There's no way I could have done this on mine.
Well, there was the back and the forth. We just have to figure out who was copying it, the poor person who put it on the long edge of the top. I got it and I went back to Pete and I said, Pete, it needs to be on the short edge if it's gonna be that way. And he goes, oh, I know you didn't do it, that's okay.
Yeah.
It just depends. It's opening it up like that.
No, it's been good. And we had a draft, we had a hard copy around the office too that got loaned out to some citizens. And
Can you imagine everybody
Or
else
they
in the
stop by
office
and
standing
look at
there
it?
waiting for them to finish printing this off? I got some reports to get out. Can you get this done?
Well, they have more than one copy
You
machine.
won't hit
we do not, and it tends to break it. So
Well, you did in the
I think
other
our-
office.
7 times
our
that
copy budget,
times
thanks.
3 or
I would have come down here and
Then you know what to,
appropriated
you
one
know
of
what
the
to put in.
copies.
your-
Yeah, take John's copier. Anyway, I have nothing else for the
justified.
communications.
No,
Okay, well, I scheduled I'm going to the National Trust Conference on the 13th, and I scheduled my trip so that I would be here on the 12th, because the conference doesn't start till the 13th. But since it's only flying to San Francisco,
So all the trees.
I
are
figured
laying
I could
there.
go that morning, which is just fine. So I plan to be here anyway on the 12th, regardless of whether it was a holiday or not.
I didn't have anything to do with the Luba appeal.
All right, we
That is
ready?
where I will be
I was
that
surprised
week,
by myself.
going to a million meetings.
Shall we adjourn?
Yes, motion?
Second, all in favor? Aye.
Okay.
Done.
See y'all at Thanksgiving.
Pleasure.